go.
You can take a quick cup of coffee. Didn't the nurse out there just tell you to take your time?
Doesn't matter what she says. If Audrey or Jessie comes back to the desk...
Do you want a cup of coffee?
No.
I don't know what you're complaining about. I don't bug you that often.
Often enough. What do you want?
Listen, I'm worried, and I need somebody to talk to, all right?
So what do you pick on me for? You never listen to anything I say anyway.
It's about Laura.
Okay. What now?
I was over at Smith's this morning. Lieutenant Stoddard called there looking for me. I had to go down to police headquarters and answer a whole bunch of questions about Laura.
Again?
Yeah, well, there's a new development. Johnny Colby's girlfriend just crawled out of the woodwork. She says that Laura must be mistaken about Colby being the rapist because he was with her that night.
Great.
Yeah, well, it looks like it might come down to her word against Laura's, and we have to make sure that Laura sticks with her story.
Will she?
She has to.
It's not that easy to lie to the police. You have to have a very good memory and a very active imagination.
Well, what I got to do now is I got to find everything I can out about Cynthia White. And how much of Johnny's business did she know? For instance, did he tell her that he was tailing Laura for the organization?
Luke, that's scary.
And if the police or Joe Kelly find out that Laura was lying...
End of Laura Baldwin, end of Cynthia White.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like it at all. What is Joe Kelly doing in this whole mess anyway? What does he care about all this? It's none of his business. Now, Scott thinks that the police have asked him to work with them. What did you find out from him on your date?
Practically nothing. He was too worried about Jeremy to pay any attention to me at all. And he seemed a lot more interested in pumping me for information about you.
Me?
Yeah. How you'd come by the fancy car and all the pretty clothes.
What'd you tell him?
I told him the truth. I didn't see any reason to make up a lie. I told him that you were working for Frank Smith and that it was a job that paid well. I also pointed out that Scotty Baldwin was working for him, too.
I wish I knew what was going on right now.
Where?
Well, the Little Prince took a whole bunch of contracts over to Smith's office to have Smith sign them.
Yeah, I know. You told me. So? What are you so worried about?
I'm worried about what the Little Prince is going to say. You know what I mean? I mean, Smith is real interested in what Joe Kelly's doing, asking all these questions about Colby's death. Now, what is Scott going to tell him?
And right here.
Oh, it seems like these things require more signatures every time.
Well, it's a good thing you have a name like Smith and anything with a lot of syllables.
There. Does that do it?
That does it, sir. That's just fine. And I have Rose and Patty Kelly's signature on the new 3-year lease for the bar and grill.
Fine.
Yeah, they seem to be happy with it.
Well, I thought of trying to up the rental, but they're good tenants, and we're meeting the taxes and getting a tax shelter. My motto has always been, you take some and you leave some.
Well, as long as everybody's happy, that's what's important, sir.
Small world, isn't it? Joe Kelly, a relative of my tenants. You know him pretty well, don't you?
Well, pretty well. I mean, we don't hang around together or anything like that. Why?
He's the son of Rose and Patty Kelly, isn't he?
Yes. Patty's his father and Rose is his stepmother.
Oh, that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a coincidence. Some years ago, Patty Kelly worked for me in one of my warehouses. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Francis, what is it?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Smith, but I have the information you asked for.
Oh, all right. Well, what did you find out?
Well, your information was correct. Cynthia White is employed as a waitress at Kelly's Bar and Grill. I verified it myself.
Here, Rose, here I am. You sound kind of tired. Are you feeling all right? Oh, sure. Don't worry. I'm not too tired to work my shift.
Well, that's good. I can't wait to get out of here.
Oh, you and Patty got plans?
The only plan I have is to take a hot bath for about 2 hours.
Oh, that sounds great to me.
Are you sure you're feeling all right?
Why do you ask?
You just look kind of funny around the eyes.
Oh, allergies. It's that time of year.
Yeah, sure. Look, take care of yourself, will you?
Oh, sure thing. There's no one else around to do it.
Oh, I was just talking about you.
Oh, yeah? I'm calling to see if there's any news about Jeremy.
I'm sorry, he's still in surgery. That's all I know.
Well, I'm down at the diner. Could you give me a call if there's any word in the next half hour or so?
Of course, I'll be glad to.
Yeah, the number here is 555-7967.
Got it.
Okay. I guess at least no news means the kid's still alive, doesn't it?
That's right. I'll call you as soon as I hear anything.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What can I get you?
Some of that soup would be nice.
That's easy enough. Nothing to drink?
No, not right now. So how's the waitressing business?
Well, it's okay, I guess. How's the private detective business?
Doesn't pay enough.
What does?
Cynthia, would you mind if I asked you a few more questions?
Depends on what kind of questions. Look, if it's about Johnny...
It's about Johnny, and it's about Laura Baldwin.
Look, he couldn't have raped that girl. End of story.
You'd like to help me clear him of that charge, wouldn't you?
If I can.
Well, you can, but it means leveling with me where Johnny's concerned.
Why should I?
Because there was a contract out on him the day he was killed. He came to me looking for money. Now, I'm not trying to scare you, but it's very important that you tell me everything you know about the last 3 weeks in Johnny's life before he was killed.
Why should I?
So that the same thing that happened to Johnny doesn't happen to you.
Well, I already talked to Scott earlier today. He tells me that now Joe Kelly is asking Laura questions.
What about?
The Colby homicide case, of course. He's asking her if she could have identified the wrong man.
I don't like this, Luke. I don't like it at all. Why should Kelly be asking questions like that?
Scott seems to think he's working with the police.
In other words, he has some kind of special assignment for Lieutenant Stoddard, is that it?
That's what it sounds like.
This thing is becoming more and more complicated. I blame Watson for it. He made entirely too many mistakes lately, and this one could prove very costly for all of us. I particularly told him to follow up on what Johnny Colby was doing at Kelly's Bar and Grill the day he was hit. I haven't had a word from him.
What did you ask him to find out?
If Colby talked to anyone, especially to Joe Kelly. This thing has been carelessly and badly managed. To begin with, the planning of the hit. Watson kept assuring me there wasn't going to be any trouble. Now look what we're into.
Yes, well, you know how I feel about Watson. If you don't, I'd be really glad to tell you.
So far, I chalked it up to personality conflict, but now I'm beginning to think that your instincts were right. He's slipped a lot.
What are you going to do about it?
The first thing I'm going to do is transfer him to Las Vegas to cover the operation there.
Las Vegas? What? What do you... That's my baby!
It is. He's going to be under your direction. He's going to stay there and cover things for you while you travel back and forth from Port Charles. You're going to need some kind of supervisor there to cover while you're gone.
Watson will never stand for that, sir. It's a slap in his face.
He'll stand for it, all right. Don't worry about that part of it.
Well, there's a part of it I do worry about. I have to work with him.
I'm afraid so.
Mr. Smith, you don't know what you're asking. We'll be at each other's throats within a week.
Luke, I'm sorry. You're going to have to find some way to get along with him. Watson has become much too much of a liability to let him stay here in Port Charles.
Well, then give him a disco in China or the Middle East, but don't send him to Las Vegas. Don't let him ruin my club.
You'll keep a close eye on him to see he behaves himself and does as he's told. I want him out of my sight.
Who doesn't?
If he keeps making mistakes, we'll have to try another approach. For now, we'll see how this works. Do the best you can to live with it.
I don't like it. But you're the boss.
I wish everyone would remember that. Oh, and another thing. I want you to talk to Laura Baldwin to see that she stands firm in her identification of Johnny Colby.
She will. I already told you that.
Yes, I know. You were willing to bet your job on it. And your life.
I was, and I still am, sir.
Well, you may be doing exactly that. So make sure that you don't lose either one. I'm not asking, Luke. I'm giving you an order. If anything goes wrong, I'm going to hold you responsible.